series. Today we're going to be talking with perennial performer Orlando Lucero out of Phoenix, Arizona. Orlando, welcome to the Mountain Southwest Performer Series.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey Orlando, before we jump into all the good sprint stuff, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what makes you tick, interests, hobbies, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I was born in San Francisco. Spent about 10 years out there, so I'm a big Bay Area fan. So go Niners, even though we're having our hard times right now. My family got two baby girls that I love more than anything in the world. And then, as far as traveling and things like that, we spent a lot of my time in Phoenix, Arizona, and then moved out to Kansas City. And then came back to Phoenix, Arizona to go to school and get a degree. So I'm kind of like a Bay Area, Phoenix, go, go, go type guy. So that's why the Phoenix Suns are my favorite basketball team.
Great. And so when you're not working hard, crushing quotas and crushing SSTs and all that other good stuff and outside events, what do you like to do for fun?
For fun, well, family's everything. So I like to hang out with my girls. We like to do a lot of fun stuff together. And then hiking would be my personal hobby. I like getting out there and hitting some mountains, hitting some trails. So, having a lot of fun with that. And then I would say the last thing would probably be watching sports. That's always a fun thing, and playing basketball. I won 2 state championships when I was in high school, and I was actively getting recruited for a little while, but my height was always an issue in basketball. So when I graduated out of Kansas City, we had some good top talent that went on to KU and whatnot. So basketball.
Let's have a little fun.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so rapid fire questions here. Favorite food?
Oh my God, I'm Italian and Mexican, so that's a tough question. I'm gonna lose a family if I answer this question. I gotta go with Italian. I have an authentic Italian family, so we make everything from scratch. So
What's your favorite dish? Italian dish?
Oh my God, I'll just keep it simple. Lasagna.
Lasagna cannot go wrong. Yeah. All right, how about dessert?
Dessert, cheesecake. Huge cheesecake fan.
Cheesecake.
Just original cheesecake, nothing on top. Just keep it simple.
Original cheesecake for the sweet tooth. Okay, I love it. Favorite cereal?
Waffle Crisp, if you remember that cereal.
Favorite beverage?
I'm gonna go Dos Equis. I just got my Mexican family back.
There you go. Bring them in. Get the Dos Equis with the lasagna.
I'm 50-50 now.
Favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero? I gotta go Batman.
Batman, why?
I like Batman because he doesn't have any superpowers. He doesn't have anything like, he doesn't have any like a souped up suit, or he doesn't have anything that came from Zeus and all these other mythical gods that make him powerful.
He just has $1 billion.
That's it. He worked for it. I'm sure somebody helped him out along the way. But I like Batman. I'm a big Batman fan.
Awesome. Okay, favorite movie?
Favorite movie? That is a really good question. If I had to pick a favorite movie, I think I like to laugh, so I'm gonna go with Anchorman.
Anchorman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ron Burgundy. The first one, not the second one.
Not the second
one. Yeah.
Favorite book?
Favorite book? There's 2 of them. Good to Great, and then my second one will be The Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins. I'm a big Tom Hopkins fan. So.
Number one thing from each book that you've taken out of those?
Man, levels of accountability are big. And then I would say the other one, there's so much with Tom Hopkins. I like his quotes of, failure is not failure. It's just a direct proportion to, the level of success that I've accomplished. That's always been like a big one for me, because we think that because we fail that it's all over, it's the end of the game. And it's like we can learn so much from our failures. When you don't succeed in something, it doesn't mean it's the end. It's a learning experience. So that's just always one that's resonated for me on that book. But there's like about 1,000 other ones, but that's just one that I'll shoot off quick.
All right, you're stranded on a desert island. You can only have one artist, one album, musician. Who is it?
So I have my Dos Equis and my cheesecake on this island, correct?
You get yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure. Favorite? I got to go with some CCR.
Creedence Clearwater Revival. All right, a little classic rock.
I'm a big CCR fan. I like that. It's good music. It's
okay,
like
any particular album?
I would do their greatest hits, because there's about 3 different albums that I like, and I don't want to fight over them. So I would just say go CCR greatest hits. So I can never, every song that comes on I like. I'll never hit skip.
Orlando, you've been successful in a lot of positions, from sales to management. Talk to our audience real quick about what the top 3 things are that make a successful sales rep, in your opinion.
For a salesperson, I think they need great leadership. I think that's where it really starts and ends. When I was a sales rep, because I did come up as a sales rep, so I always remembered, great leaders that inspired me, motivated me, and help get me to where I wanted to get to. And I also saw people in sales reps that maybe didn't have it in their heart to be with Sprint for forever because they had different plans to go about. But those managers always got the best out of them for the time that they had them. And they still help them further their careers on maybe if it was a Sprint or something else. I think that's very important to understand those things of your people. So with that said, I would say leadership is important. I think also being knowledgeable is important. Taking the time to train your people, getting them, trained up on all the promos, getting them trained up on how to get past barriers, and really just being that cheerleader and motivator for them that they need to get through the grind of the day sometimes and to really get from A to B.
How do you determine what motivates an employee, and then how do you motivate them once you've learned that to keep them focused and engaged in the business?
So what I believe in is building relationships with their employees. So before you even talk work, before you even talk numbers and goals and all the things that they get thrown at us in this company, I build a relationship. I believe that's the foundation that drives the performance. So as I build that relationship, I start to learn more about them. Just as we opened up this segment talking about me and my background and hobbies and things like that, it puts us at a really good standpoint to know one another. And then from there, I can understand and see, is it money that drives them and motivates them? Is it maybe moving up in the company that motivates them? Or is there maybe something outside of this company that motivates them to go towards? And whatever it is, I'm going to hone in on it like any other good salesperson would do. And I'm just going to beat that with a dead hammer until I get the best out of them and get the most.
You've been successful. How many times have you been to Pinnacle Club?
5 times.
5-time Pinnacle Club winner. How many times at Crown Club?
Lost count. No, I'm kidding. It was probably maybe 10 or 11.
Orlando, you've been so successful over all these years. Talk to us for just a second or two about your philosophy that has allowed you to be so consistent.
My philosophy, I try to simplify things to the best of my abilities. I believe that structure and is a great thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. It keeps everybody in line. It keeps everybody running on the same page, and it's very vital to success. So for me, I normally start my day off with high-fiving everybody. I normally start my day off kind of getting them to know where they're at with their performance, where they want to be, where they want to go. We cover those things and we build upon that relationship of knowing them and seeing how they're doing, how their day is, how the day was yesterday, what they got planned for this upcoming weekend. So it's building that relationship and having that good philosophy of I'm here for you and I need you to be great for me. So whatever it's going to take to get that out of you, I'm going 110% running through a wall to do it. So that's usually how the day starts. And throughout the day, there's a high level of engagement. I call that, capacity, having that capacity to be able to be on the sales floor. Because I believe in a philosophy of you don't manage sales floors, you manage sales. And there's a big difference between those two things. People always think, well, I manage the sales floor, everybody's checked in, everything's good, everybody's being helped. Well, that's not what it's all about. It's about getting involved and getting engaged in that sale. What are they on? What is the plan? How's the rep feeling that interaction? Do they need help? Do they need support? And what you'll find out is the reps really do appreciate those things when you have that level of engagement, and the close rates go up through the roof when you have that. And you train other leaders to have the same exact attack mode, and then you just create a recipe for success from that. So that's normally what the sales floor looks like and whatnot on the day-to-day, and that's the support that my staff gets, and they know they're always going to have no matter what's going on in the day, no matter what fire drills that we get, or whatever the day may bring us.
Earlier you mentioned something that I think is important. I'd like to unpack a little bit further. You talked about structure, and that structure isn't bad, it's good, it's really good. What does structure look like for you?
A lot of times we get people to come into the store and they kind of don't know what to do, if you believe it or not. They come in and they go, well, we're kind of dead right now, so I guess I'll put my stuff up in the back and figure the day out. Whereas with us, you come in for your shift, you know you got your float to count and whatnot, you got your sales board to look at, and then we have calls that we need to make if we're dead. If we're not, we know we need to hit the sales floor, and then when we hit the sales floor, we have that level of engagement from the management team members. We have to start closing sales to set up the day on a positive note. When you can set up the day with a sale, it's always going to be a great day. And guess what? If you get that little speed bump where you got a mad customer or somebody who wants to rock your day, the first transaction, you have level of engagement from management to say you did a good job, or you could have done that transaction a little better if you did this and this, but I still had your back, I still had your support, and we're going to get through it. Take a 5-minute break, come back, let's make some money, let's get some sales. So that's the structure that I speak of. And when you have 14 employees and we're all following on that suit, and that's the expectation when you come in, you go out, if we're busy, this, if we're not busy, plan B. Let's hit some calls, let's get some customers invited into the store. That's a little bit of what that structure looks like.
Orlando, you've got a large team, a lot of support, ASMs, sales assistants, leads, etc. But how often do you personally check in with each rep?
Through coaching and behaviors and getting it down on pad with a lot of these reps, you don't have to watch over them as much. What you're watching over is, are they taking them out to demo? Are they asking those lifestyle questions? And then do they have the tools up at their computer screen to really deep dive in to make sure they're getting the most return on investment on that transaction? So sometimes it really isn't so much of getting completely engaged on some particular reps. It's sometimes just observing to make sure they're staying on the line or staying in line to deliver those results. Normally, what I've always believed in is you follow where the noise is at. Just like any great store manager or any great floor leader, if you hear a customer upset, yelling and screaming, you follow the noise. I use that same principle with sales. If I got an employee that's red on APH, I got an employee that's red on MBA, I got an employee that's red on net activations, that's who I'm going after. So once you do those things, you start to get the bottom to get to the middle or the middle to get to the top, you start to notice that that workload really starts to come down, and then you even become a more effective manager, and then you can build more upon relationship.
Orlando, you've got a big store, a lot of transactions, a lot of volume, a lot of team members. How do you keep everything together between sales and operations?
Well, I've always coached with, sales aren't, everything. They're the only thing. And with operations, I've always said, operations, they're an expectation. That has to get done. There is no negotiating that. That's a non-negotiable item. So them understanding that and them getting that extra exposure, when I say them, the staff getting extra exposure to what they did wrong, how they could have done it better, helps that culture of accountability. It also helps us be great in operations. We've performed at a 97, 98 SPI when we used to have SPI. We've had corporate audits before where we've passed them with our eyes closed. And the reason we do that is because of the consistency, the level of consistency that every single week they're going to know what they did wrong. They're going to get coached on that. They're going to get documented on that. And when you have the level of engagement that we have on sales, also overseeing operations, you can't fail. When you're around that sales floor and they're going to miss an ID scan and you see that, you correct that. When you see that they're going to go out of line and maybe sell something or position it differently, you're going to correct that. So when you have that type of exposure, it's not just about being balanced all in the sales. It's about having that fine balance between, I'm also looking out to see if we're having operational mistakes on the floor, CP&I issues on the floor, correcting it on the spot, documenting it, and consistently following up every single week through a Tuesday weekly compliance reporting, through a Thursday checklist. And that's something that I hold my assistant managers accountable for. So if we're missing on those things or we're not executing on those things, again, it's non-negotiable. There's got to be some type of course of action there. So whatever is important to us is important to them. So for me, I put that at the forefront. Again, sales is everything, is the only thing, but finding that balance through repetition, finding that balance through culture of accountability is what drives our performance and our operations and keeps us well-rounded.
Orlando, you've had a ton of success, sales, operations, Pinnacle Club, Crown Club. What's your parting message for all those who are watching you today in this Mountain Southwest Performer Series?
I would say, write out a T-chart of priorities. You have your primary priorities and you have your secondary priorities. And I think the issue a lot of times is we make secondary priorities the top priority. But the top priority is always sales. If you stay with that message of the number one most important thing is sales, you'll have the happiest crew, you'll have the most motivated crew, and you'll hire some of the best people because that's all you're focusing in on. The other things will come when you get a great crew that's motivated, when you get a great crew that's knowledgeable, and when you bring people on, they fit into that culture, and then it really helps you become well balanced. But sales are always going to be priority number one. I would never label myself as a store manager. I label myself as a sales manager. Because at the end of the day, that's what keeps the lights on, that's what keeps people getting promoted, and that's what keeps things moving. That keeps the chains going.
Great job to you. Congratulations on a fantastic career and all that comes your way down the road.
Great. Well, thank you guys for having me.